This is a video on Lesson 17 Dialogue 1 and the 4 grammar points that are shown in the textbook. The first grammar point is a grammar structure that follows the pattern of verb plus le plus numeral plus measure word plus the noun plus the sentence final le. This grammar structure usually indicates that an action has been continuing for some time and will likely last into the future. So it's a structure that's used when you want to talk about an action that has been ongoing and is still going on. I've color coded the part of the grammar structure to fit in with the sentence that I will be using for all my examples. So, for example, one, if someone asks you, 你开出租汽车开了几年了? How many years have you been driving a cab for? You could use the grammar structure as your answer and say 1年半了, or a year and a half now. Example 2a and example 2b shows the differences in meaning and translation if you were to have le at the end of the sentence and if you were not to have le at the end of the sentence. So example 2a, 他病了3天了. He has been sick for 3 days and he is still currently sick on the 4th day. Without le, example 2b, 他病了3天. The meaning changes from he is still currently sick to he was sick for 3 days only and on the 4th day he recovered already. This new grammar structure with the additional sentence final le can be followed by another clause that suggests that the action is likely to stop. So, example 1, you could say 这本书我已经看了2遍了，不想再看了. I've read this book twice already and don't want to read it again. So after the sentence final le, you're adding this extra clause behind the comma that says, I don't want to read it again. So the action of you reading will stop. Example 2. 衣服我已经买了3件了，再买2件就够了. I've already bought 3 pieces of clothing. I'll buy 2 more and that'll be plenty. So after the sentence final le, you have the clause 再买2件就够了. So I'll buy 2 more and that'll be plenty. Your action of buying clothes will stop. Example 3. 我打扫房子打扫了一下午了，想休息一下. I've been cleaning the house all morning. I'd like to take a break. So after the sentence final le, you're saying 想休息一下. I'd like to take a break and stop the cleaning. The second grammar point for lesson 17 dialogue 1 is 连什么什么都 or 也. 连 is an intensifier which is always used in conjunction with 都 or 也. What follows 连 usually represents an extreme case. So you could say the biggest, the smallest, the most, the least, and you can use this grammar pattern to say what you want to. So for example 1, 我姐姐的孩子很聪明，连日语都会说. My sister's child is really smart. She can even speak Japanese. Here, the extreme is that she can even speak Japanese because Japanese is a hard language to speak. So, example 2. 我弟弟的公寓里连一件家具也没有. There isn't even a single piece of furniture in my younger brother's apartment. The extreme case here is that there is no single piece of furniture, so there's nothing in the younger brother's apartment. Example 3. 你怎么连药都忘了吃? How could you even forget to take your medicine? The extreme case here is that even something as important as medicine was forgotten by the person that the speaker is talking to. The third grammar point for lesson 17 dialogue 1 is potential complements, specifically following the verb plus 不下 structure. This structure suggests that a location or container in question does not have the capacity to accommodate a certain number of people or things. Example 1. 这个客厅大是大，不过坐不下20个人. This living room is pretty spacious, but it still isn't large enough to seat 20 people. So here the location is the living room, and we have 坐不下 can't sit a certain number of people, 20 people. So 这个客厅大是大，不过坐不下20个人. This living room is pretty spacious, but it still isn't large enough to seat 20 people. Example 2. 这张纸写不下800个字. This piece of paper isn't big enough to write 800 characters on. And the third example, 这个冰箱放不下2个西瓜. This refrigerator isn't big enough for 2 watermelons. And here you can see that the 不下in each of the sentences sort of translates into the isn't large enough, isn't big enough, isn't big enough in each of the meanings of these sentences. This grammar point shouldn't be too hard to understand. It's pretty straight to the point. The fourth and last grammar point for Lesson 17 Dialogue 1 is indicating an approximate number using 多. 多 can be placed after a number to indicate an approximate number. So for example, 10多个 means more than 10 but less than 20. If the concept represented by the noun is not divisible into smaller units and the number is 10 or a multiple of 10, then 多 should come before the measure word. So you can see that in all three of my examples here, the numbers are a multiple of 10. So we have 20, 20, we have 30, 30, and then we have 100, 100. So you could say 20多个人, more than 20 people, 30多个学生, more than 30 students, and 100张纸, more than 100 sheets of paper. If the concept represented by the noun can be divided, there are two possibilities. The first possibility is that if the number is not 10 or a multiple of 10, then 多 should go after the measure word. So you could say 这支笔1块多钱. This pen is $1 something. So the price of the pen is between $1 and $2. It's more than $1 but less than 2. The second example for this first possibility. 这家饭馆的师傅和服务员认识10年多了. The chef and the waiter at this restaurant have known each other for 10 years and some months. The second possibility, if the number is 10 or a multiple of 10, 多 can be used before or after the measure word. So you could say, 他昨天买了40多个梨. He bought over 40 pairs yesterday. This means that he bought more than 40 but less than 50 pairs. The second example for this possibility, 这双鞋10多块钱. This pair of shoes is over $10. So it's more than $10 but less than 20. I hope this made a little bit more sense to you. But this was just a video on lesson 17 and the 4 grammar points that are in the textbook. Hopefully I clarified for you a little bit how to use these grammar points better in your sentence use and language speaking skills.